Today, we're going to be checking out the Neural DSP Mesa Boogie Mark IIC Plus plugin. Neural continue to kill it in the plugin game. What can I say? They just keep putting out awesome plugin after awesome plugin, and this is definitely no exception. First of all, it's an official amp with Mesa. It's not anything like, they have to call it something else, or, like a lot of other companies that do plugin versions or digital versions of amps end up having to not call it exactly what it is, but we all know what it is. This is the real deal. For anyone not initiated, the Mark IIC Plus is a legendary rock and metal amp for sure, and it was pretty much made famous by Metallica. It's the amp that they used, come on, Master Puppets, the Black Album, that huge, just gigantic scoop sound. That's the Mark IIC Plus. Now, actual Mark IIC Pluses are really hard to come by, and when you do find them, they're extremely expensive. So it's awesome to have that legendary sound inside of a plugin. Plus, they also included the Mark IIC Plus, kind of like a modded out version of it. And we'll go into that too as well. So what comes with the plugin? Well, you get the amp, of course, all the different sliders. All the knobs have the push pulls that they're supposed to have for the various boost options that you have on the original amp. Of course, you can also switch to the back and you can change things like the power section. You can also change whether the reverb that was built into the amp is on or not. And of course, the presence control. And then you can switch between 3 different cabs, a couple of oversized Mesa cabs, and like a stack of 212 Mesa cabs. And they have captures of those ever famous and elusive mid-2000s Mesa V30 speakers in them, and they sound fantastic. Particularly the second cabinet, that second oversized cabinet, just really nails it for me all around. What's cool too is on all these cabs, you have a ton of different mic options, a couple of ribbons, some condensers. Of course, you have, your SM57. What's really awesome is you can actually do that off axis, that 45-degree thing. So you can do the Fredman technique of having like one right on, one at 45 degrees if you want. So that's a pretty cool option that you don't see enough in a lot of, speaker and amp simulations, in my opinion. You also have the doubler, so you can make it sound like super huge and wide, almost like 2 guitars are playing. I actually really like this for clean stuff and leads in particular. I think that's really cool. And it has basically everything else you've come to expect from a Neural plugin. You have the EQ section, you have your time-based effects, some delay and reverb, and you have some pedals you can put out in front, a couple of overdrives, a compressor, and a chorus pedal. So that's enough of the meat and potatoes of the plugin. Let's actually hear this thing inside and outside of a mix. I'm gonna do my best to rip off Metallica. Lars, please don't sue me. To get some of that kind of like 90s Metallica tone, which this thing just absolutely nails. It took very minimal tweaking for me to get there, and you'll be able to see my settings on screen. And I plugged in direct with my LTD black metal with a Black Winter pickup in the bridge. Let's check it out. It's not at all hard to see why this amp was so famous and why it was used on those prolific Metallica records. There's just something about the character of this amp. It's really thick and chunky sounding while still remaining tight, like really almost modern tight. And it has, you know, a really scooped mid, like that really modern kind of scooped mid range that you associate with modern metal, except it does have the mids where it counts, like that kind of upper mid bite that really gets the pick attack. It really makes everything cut through the mix. And it can be super bright if you wanted to, just to really, really cut and sit well in a mix with the other instruments, the bass and the drums and everything like that. And of course, you can dial that into just about any sound that you want using that EQ section and all the various push-pulls. Now, the 2C Plus I didn't like as much for gain tones. It was definitely fatter and more scooped, but I found it to be less controlled. You know, maybe a little bit better with an overdrive to tighten it up, but still, I liked the standard 2C Plus on there. It was tighter, kind of more cutting, almost more modern sounding. But then that changed for the cleans. I really liked the 2C Plus for cleans. That extra scoop and warmth on the low end really made this thing kind of sing. And I felt like the 2C Plus, the standard, because of that upper mid bite and the tightness, it kind of felt kind of plinky, ice picky almost. So it was good to have both in here. Overall, Neural have done it again. Every time I try a plugin from them, I just love it. Years ago, I demoed the Kali, and that was super close to the actual Kali I'd owned at the time. I've demoed the Gojira plugin. I love that. Their bass stuff, I mean, I use the Parallax on basically everything. If you're hearing bass on this channel, 9 out of 10 times it's going to be the Parallax plugin. I absolutely adore that thing. And even though I've never demoed it, I do own the Sedano plugin. I love just jamming on that. It's great for distorted and cleans and, you know, generating ideas. So I'm glad that they help preserve such a piece of rock and metal history, and that a ton of people now can access this amp that otherwise it would have been inaccessible to them. I think that's really cool. So I'm going to have a link down below if you want to check out this or any of the other cool plugins that they do offer. Thanks for watching. Stay metal.